Today I'm going to do a simplistic breakdown of the International Space Station and SpaceX's Dragon capsule. I've got several short clips to look at, the first of which is this new camera angle from the ISS. And as we can see on our screen, the Dragon capsule is on the horizon approaching the space station. So let's have a look.
I believe that is Dragon, pretty much dead center of your screen.
Tell me in the comments section. I mean, we know the globe's scientifically impossible, so it's obviously this is fake. But tell me, do you think this is a good job at faking this tosh? Because to me it just looks ridiculous. Anyway, let's continue.
Again, making its approach to the International Space Station. What a view.
Yes, what a view. Scientifically impossible. What a view. There was some glitching going on there with the clouds, but I think we'll leave it there. Bear with me. Now we join James May, who's at an altitude of 70,000 feet, flying in a U-2 spy plane.
And student spaceman May are the second highest people in the world. Yes! Oh man, I've got that curvature of the horizon thing. Look at that, that's perfect. Yeah, this looks fantastic. Oh, it's lovely.
Isn't it just, James? But I've seen that curve before. Bear with me. I thought I'd recognised that bit of curvature before. Strangely enough, when I blend James May's citation of curvature at 70,000 feet with the International Space Station's new camera with the Dragon capsule approaching, surprise, surprise, it's the same amount of curvature. 70,000 feet. 250 miles up. $70,000 feet. U-2 spy plane. 250 miles up. International Space Station. Proving that any curvature shown here is optical and not physical. And what makes this even worse here is the fact there doesn't appear to be any warping on the actual spacecraft, space station here. The arm or any of it doesn't appear, from the phone I'm looking at, obviously a small screen, doesn't appear to be warping, which of course means that's been layered in to the footage of supposed globe Earth, which has been filmed probably high altitude U-2 plane with a curved lens. So it's not really been a very good day here for the International Space Station, and it's going to get worse. Now we're inside the Dragon capsule now, which is obviously what's supposedly approaching the International Space Station in that footage we've just seen, which of course makes a mockery of itself anyway. But I thought we'd look at the Dragon capsule now, and the toilet, which you can see here is on the wall. Essentially you pull this toilet down, put this shower curtain thing up, which you can see here, and sit on the toilet and do your business in the same room that everyone else is in, whether you're having a number 1 or number 2. I gather number 2 is a bit rarer for the first 24 hours. It does happen, but it's a bit rarer. But still, imagine that. People using that toilet, 4 people in there, using that toilet while they're travelling. It would be horrendous. And that alone highlights how terrible living in space would be. It would stink. Dead skin cells, hair, feces particles, urine particles. It would be a disgusting, horrible environment. And yet these people want to throw their food around in this environment. Can you see how crazy this is? Bear with me. Now this is some footage of them on their way to the ISS. In the capsule we've seen of the footage, throwing food around. Bearing in mind we've seen the toilet stuck on the wall. I don't know if anyone needed to do a number 2. There's 4 people there. The flight was 22 to 24 hours, I gather. there's a good chance someone might have needed to do a number 2, which means potentially there was feces particles flying around this capsule, this enclosed space, urine particles flying around, and yet strangely enough these people want to throw their food around in the same capsule. Look.
We've also had some time to perfect our techniques of food eating and food fun. So going for some toss practice here. This is why we practice. All right, one on the way to Matthias. Throw, that was my fault.
Now that capsule would be absolutely stinking. It would be disgusting smell. There'd be particles of 1 and number 2 floating about, and yet these fools want to throw their food around. It's obviously for show. You wouldn't entertain that silliness otherwise. You'd eat it properly. I would have thought there'd be quite strict conditions given those facts, i.e. the number 1 and 2 particles potentially flying around this thing. Same with the space station. You'd have certain procedures in place. You wouldn't be throwing water around, tossing your food around with all these dirts and particles, hair, skin. You just wouldn't do it. It's ridiculous. Imagine them coming down with some terrible stomach virus because they were throwing it. It's just, none of it makes any sense at all when you use a bit of common sense and logic and scrutinise this tosh. I mean, the toilet's on the wall behind them. No doubt been used multiple times here. And they're throwing their food around through number 1, number 2 particles. Disgusting and quite frankly ridiculous. For anyone asking, this is obviously an augmented reality setup here. No one's showing any sort of weightlessness. They're just sort of there throwing stuff supposedly, which has been augmented in, if you ask me, okay? For anyone asking, obviously I don't believe they're in space whatsoever. I'm just showing you how absurd space is, just based on what they tell us and show us. So we've seen how easy it is to debunk all this stuff. Globe's impossible. The space stuff they show us is ridiculous, contradicts itself. Same amount of curve supposedly at 70,000 feet as you get 250 miles up, proving it's optical, not physical. Terrible setups that just expose the game, i.e. throwing food around in that environment. Clearly ridiculous, you just wouldn't do it. Particularly being in charge of a gigantic space station. It would be run like a military operation. There'd be drills left, right and centre. You just wouldn't be throwing stuff. It's all obviously a show. So I thought, what better way to finish and slap the International Space Station silly for the weekend than our pal here, Randy Bresnik, the robot man himself, the top boy here, for making an absolute mockery of the International Space Station. So let's watch this harness failure meltdown from Randy as he blows us all away with his 80s robotic dance escape. So let's have a look.
They have your lights on the ceiling, so that is up. But then you can do this like Randy's doing, and for him right now, it looks like for him that he's standing up. So there's really no sense of direction other than maybe the writing on the walls and the lights that we have, which makes it really neat. When you're working, you can get in all different kinds of spots and it all seems to work fine. So it's a great place to live and work.
What a boy Randy is. And what better way to finish and begin the weekend. Cheers.